At the number 10 spot, I have Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin has proved to be a valuable part of the super team that is the Los Angeles Clippers. Known for his dunking ability, Blake is also efficient on the defensive side, averaging 12.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 0.5 blocks and 22.5 in his rookie season. Blake is 27 years old and has been voted to 5 All-Star games, and has won the Rookie of the Year award, as well as 2 second-team All-NBA selections. Coming in at number 9, I have Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has done one thing that many other NBA players have failed to do. Anthony Davis has lived up to the hype, unlike players like O.J. Mayo, who couldn't handle the hype, and became one of the biggest busts of all time. At the young age of 23, Anthony Davis has shown to us already that he is the next biggest thing in the NBA. In just 5 seasons, Anthony has already been voted to 3 All-Star teams, has been selected to first All-NBA team, and has a pair of blocking titles. Anthony Davis comes in at number 9 because of how he lived up to the hype. Coming in at number 8, I have Paul George. Paul has shown us that it's possible to return from a horrific injury. Here's the story of how he got injured, which is very scary because this injury could have very well ended his career. Here's the details. On August 1st, George landed awkwardly at the base of a basket stanchion after fouling James Harden during a Las Vegas scrimmage, and suffered a compound fracture of both bones in his lower right leg. He quickly went into surgery for the fracture, with a pin being inserted in the leg. While no official prognosis was initially given, he was considered likely to miss the entire 2014-15 season. Most players, if an injury like this happens to them, their entire NBA career is in jeopardy. Paul George, as everyone was doubting him, saying he would be out of the league in a few years, when he did return, he returned just as good, if not better, as he was before the injury. The next year, Paul George played a career-high 81 games, averaged a career-high 23.1 points per game, 1.9 steals and 4.1 assists. Paul George has been voted to the All-Star Game 3 times, has 3 third-team All-NBA selections, and won the Most Improved Player award in 2013. Coming in at number 7, I have James Harden. James Harden aka The Beard. James Harden last year was nothing short of amazing, but he was held back by Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard and James Harden did not get along, so in the 2016 offseason, Dwight Howard signed with the Atlanta Hawks, leaving James Harden the only star on the Houston Rockets roster. Even though last year Howard held him back, Harden still excelled, averaging a career-high 6.1 rebounds, 7.5 assists, and 29 points per game. This season, without Howard, the Beard looks like he is about to go off, as he is averaging a double-double, putting up 7.6 rebounds, 11.6 assists, 0.3 blocks, 1.5 steals and 28 points a night. Harden is 27 years old, has been voted to 4 All-Star games, 2 first-team All-NBA selections, and won the 6th Man of the Year award in 2012. One of the worst trades in NBA history involved the Beard, where the Oklahoma City Thunder, after reaching the NBA Finals in 2012, traded James Harden, Quinn Cook, Cole Aldrich, and Lazar Hayward to the Houston Rockets for Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. Little did the Oklahoma City Thunder know that the next season James Harden would make the All-Star team, and average 25.9 points, 5.8 assists, 4.9 rebounds and 1.8 steals per game. What if the Thunder never traded Harden? Would the Warriors reach the NBA Finals 2 years in a row? Or would the new Big Three in Oklahoma City shut them down? We will never know.
At number 6, I have Stephen Curry. The reason I have Steph Curry rated so low is because he is very overrated. Even though it is not even a valid argument if you say Ray Allen is a better shooter than Curry, because he is not. Curry is the greatest shooter we have ever seen play the game of basketball. Curry can hit from anywhere on the floor, but the reason I have him at number 6 is because of his defensive abilities. Steph Curry may be a juggernaut on offense, but his defense is mediocre at best. Curry is 6'3", so that explains it, but if he has such fast hands, as we see with all his flashy dribble moves, then why can you not come up with more than 1.8 steals a game? Curry has already shown us what makes him great, his 3PD shooting ability, which is pretty much the only thing Curry has on his side. Curry, at the age of 28, has been voted to the All-Star Game 3 times, been selected to the first team All-NBA twice, won the NBA MVP twice, with one of those awards being the only unanimous selection in the 70 years the NBA has existed. He is also a member of the exclusive 50, 40, 90 club. In his unanimous MVP season, he put up 5.4 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 2.1 steals, and 30.1 points a night. Stephen Curry has been plagued with ankle injuries his whole career and will struggle with his ankles as his career goes on.
At number 5, I have Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi has shown that he is one of the best defensive players in the league right now. Kawhi was selected with the 15th overall pick by the Indiana Pacers but was traded that very night to the San Antonio Spurs along with the rights to 2 draft picks in exchange for George Hill. I think if Kawhi was the beast he is now, the Pacers would not have made that trade. His team, the Spurs, made 2 straight finals appearances, losing the first to the Heat in 7 games, and winning the second, which Kawhi Leonard won the finals MVP. Even though that season, he did not make the All-Star game, becoming only the 6th player, and the first since Chauncey Billups in 2004. Kawhi has shown us how good he is on the defensive side of the court. He won Defensive Player of the Year in 2015 and 2016. At just the age of 25, Kawhi has been voted to 1 All-Star game, poised to make a lot more. In 2016 he averaged 6.8 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.8 steals, 1.0 blocks and 21.2 points a night. Coming in at number 4, I have Russell Westbrook. How does one even attempt to stop Russell Westbrook? Defenders who have backed off and given him space are generally run over. Those that give his drives the attention they deserve are often burned by his passing. Showing resistance at the rim sometimes only serves to send Westbrook to the line, 7.8 free throw attempts per game, 7th in the league, to bolster his efficiency. Attempts to bait him into bad shots or bad passes can so easily backfire. There are real risks to getting too cute with the coverage of a player who can blow by or rise over most any defender put in front of him. Quicker opponents can be taken into the post and overpowered. Longer ones often can't move their feet fast enough to put that length to use. This is the fundamental quandary that every one of Westbrook's opponents must confront. The speed at which Westbrook operates demands the tailoring of a defensive system to stop him. Otherwise, the rotations might not come in time or might come in too eager numbers, leaving open shooters and dunkers for Westbrook to pick out. That Westbrook repeats this process, again and again, over full minutes for an entire season is exhausting to opponents. You will not catch Westbrook on his night off because there are no nights off. There is only the constant need to focus, to shuffle, to communicate, and to batten down the hatches. Coming in at number 3, we have Chris Paul. Paul and Westbrook approach running an offense so differently that much of their distinction is a matter of taste. Paul is the sort of ball handler who manages everything. His job involves constant orchestration. His moves to score are deliberate. Paul knows how to pick his spots to score as much as is needed of him while still keeping all of his teammates involved in the exact spots that are best for their games. The way that Paul thinks the game and physically makes his passes, from misdirection to timing to placement, is pretty damn close to the playmaking ideal. It's a reliable, dependable structure that can easily bear the weight of an entire offense. The same could essentially be said of Westbrook's raw production, given that no individual defender nor team system can really stop him. Yet in deciding between the two styles, we felt Paul's brand of cerebral playmaking both made more sense for a wider variety of teams and gave his teammates more room to work through necessary playoff adjustment. Defense: this is an open and shut case. Paul is a better defender. The more pertinent issue is how much better and to what extent it matters. Paul's first-team all-defense selection in each of the last 5 years feels like a bit of an overstatement, as can happen with that particular award. Star players who defend well benefit from a categorical bump. That said, the fact that he is at all a reasonable candidate for that kind of defensive distinction moves him miles away from Westbrook, whose best defensive quality is his activity. The kind of instinctive, assertive defense that Westbrook defaults to can be smothering on the right night and self-destructive on many others. His lunges for steals constantly pull him out of good defensive position, forcing teammates to step up and contain the threats left behind. There are also moments in every game in which Westbrook, weirdly, can't be bothered. It's that variety of issues that makes matters worse. These just aren't issues with Paul. Shooting: not only does Paul take better shots, but he shoots a better percentage at literally every distance. The gap is that between one of the game's most reliable pull-up jump shooters, Paul manages to weave through multiple defenders before twisting into a shot with perfect balance, and one of its most erratic, not to mention indulgent. Trust: one question we kept coming back to in our comparison: if you were a coach of an NBA team, who would you trust to run your team? Paul was the consensus choice. Westbrook wouldn't be Westbrook without the thrills. That makes for great television and great basketball, but it's often easier to get the most out of all 5 players on the floor when they can move and operate along a particular set of principles. Westbrook doesn't totally deny that, though a certain part of his value lies in his unpredictability. A point guard who can blow past his man at any time can always keep the defense off balance, though in a sense he does something similar to his teammates. The majority of the time this is not a real problem. Westbrook is productive enough and the openings he creates are obvious enough to keep an offense afloat. Yet it is implicit in Westbrook's game that he will shrug off a certain number of plays as they develop for a quick, pull-up jumper. In some cases, that all comes out in the Washington. In others, those shots not only bust a possession with an ineffective shot. Westbrook made just 37% of his pull-up jumpers last season, 42.3% EFK, but give opponents a look in transition when all of Westbrook's teammates may be cutting and screening below the foul line. A lot goes into trusting that a player's performance will do the most good for the team, but Paul had enough edges to help win us over. It would be perfectly reasonable to digest all of Westbrook's limitations and still rank him as the superior player. His play is that persuasive. We simply saw Paul as more balanced, more reliable, and more stylistically contributive to the success of his teammates. Coming in at number 2, I have Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the most hated players in the NBA. That hate comes from his decision to leave the Oklahoma City Thunder for the Golden State Warriors super squad. Fans of the Thunder burn Durant jerseys. There is a valid point that Durant is the second best player of the last 5 years, after the King, due to all the achievements he has had in the last 5 years. At the age of 28, Durant has already cemented his Hall of Fame future, having been voted to 7 All-Star games, won the 2014 Most Valuable Player award, has been selected to 5 first-team All-NBA teams, he won Rookie of the Year in 2008, is in the 50-40-90 club, a 4-time NBA scoring champion, and is a 2-time USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year. Drafted by Seattle, he played 1 game for them until they relocated to Oklahoma City, where in 2012, he and Westbrook and James Harden took them to the NBA Finals, where they lost to the Miami Heat and the Big Three. In 2014, the year he won MVP, where he put up 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1 steals, 7 blocks, and 3 points a night. Coming in at number 1, I have LeBron James. LeBron James, aka the King, has cemented after this year's NBA Finals that he is among one of the all-time greats to play the game of basketball. LeBron is one of the most dominant players to play since Michael Jordan laced them up in the 1990. LeBron has made several consecutive finals appearances, with the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron, at age 31, is a lock-in for the NBA Hall of Fame, as well as his place among the all-time greats, because at just the age of 31, LeBron has been voted to play in 12 All-Star games, winning 2 All-Star Game MVPs, been selected to 10 first All-NBA teams, 5-time Defensive First Team. He is a 4-time Most Valuable Player, a 3-time NBA champion, and a 3-time Finals MVP. He has been the Sports Illustrated Person of the Year twice. He made NBA history when he overcame a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals to beat Curry and the Golden State Warriors. LeBron is one of the all-time greats. Another thing that makes him great is because, like Anthony Davis, LeBron James also was very hyped up, all the way from middle school. LeBron, with all this pressure on him, delivered up to his expectations, and became one of the greatest players to ever play basketball.